Hey guys, and welcome back to Tech Mining and Crypto channel. So today I just want to give everyone an update on the lolMiner 1.61, which actually has an improvement in terms of the hash rate for NVIDIA Ampere and Turing cards. So I think a week or two ago, redpandamining showed that lolMiner 1.60 had a 15 to 20% improvement in terms of the hash rate for Flux. So what I want to do today is actually test out what difference it makes on the rig that I'm running and whether or not I will actually get the 15 to 20%. So according to 1.60, you'll get about a 15 to 20% improvement on hash rate on your Ampere cards. And plus the 1.61, we're looking at about 1.5 to 2.5. So there could be a maximum of 22.5% improvement in hash rate. So I just want to see what the difference makes on my rig. And hopefully this video helps you make your decisions on helping to improve your hash rate on Flux. So without further ado, I'll go into my HiveOS. So I'm logged into my HiveOS at the moment. And these are my current hash rates for my 3090s, my two 3090s, and my 3070s. So I'm getting about 103 sols on my 3090s, and these are my settings. I've got 80% fan, 200 core, and 0 mem, and 300 power limit. So it's running at about 300 watts. Sometimes this goes a little bit lower, but I just restarted the rig in order to update all the miners in HiveOS. So on my 3070, I've got 61.36 and 61.16, so let's say about 61. And on the 3070s, I've got the fan at 80, core at 175, and the power limit at 140. So my current efficiencies, my 3090s are running at about 0.34 efficiency. I could probably improve it, but you know, I'm okay to pay the power and the hash rate at the moment because I do have solar on the house as well. And the 3070s, I've got it at a much better hash to watt ratio of 0.43. So they're the current ratings now, and I'm going to actually switch two of the 3090s and two of the 3070s to lolMiner and do a direct comparison and see what hash rate we get when we switch these over. So the first thing that we need to do in order to do this test is I need to actually switch GPU 1 and GPU 3 over to lolMiner so that I can actually test them parallel to each other. So in order to do that, you actually have to come over to your flight sheet. So when you come over to flight sheet, you need to click these three dots here and click edit. So once I'm in here, you can see here that I've got Flux and I'm running miniZ miner basically. So I need to basically set up the miner and change the parameters. So hit extra arguments here. You can actually select which GPUs you want to run. So in this particular instance, I want number 1 and number 3 to actually run on mini. Actually no, I want number 0 and I want number 2 to actually run on miniZ. So 0 and 2 will run on miniZ. So I'm going to apply changes. Now we're going to add another miner. So same thing, we're going to go Flux, my ZergPool wallet, same pool, Hero Miners. I'm in Australia, so I'm going to go Australia and back up to be US West. And then in the miner here, we're going to choose lolMiner and set up miner config. So everything's already set up here, and what we want to do is have the extra arguments again. And we want to basically select this one here. And I want to go 1 and 4. 0, 1, 2, 3. I want 0 and 3. So apply changes. So I'm just going to check here. GPU 0 and GPU 2 is going to be on miniZ. And here GPU 1 and GPU 3 is going to be on lolMiner. I'm gonna apply changes, and I'm gonna update all workers, and that's done. Come back to here, and what I'm going to do is just going to reset the rig, reboot it, and let it run, and let's see what happens with lolMiner. So I just had an error with miniZ, and I've just noticed that I didn't actually put this on a separate line. So I've got to put this parameter here on a separate line, and I'll see if it actually gets it to boot up. Okay guys, so it's been about 20 minutes to 30 minutes now, and I've been letting it run. And we can immediately see that lolMiner is actually running a lot better than miniZ. So on the new, haven't changed any of the settings, but with lolMiner I'm getting 118 souls on the RTX3090 and 68.56 on the 3070. I've refreshed this a couple of times, and it seems to be running stable at about 118 and around 68 souls. So I've come over to basically my spreadsheet and plugged in some of the numbers here. So we're originally getting 103 souls on the 3090 on miniZ, and about 61.36. So we'll go 61.41 at the moment. And we're getting the efficiencies here still around 30.34 for the 3090. Currently now at 299 power, and 0.43 on the 3070s on miniZ. If we compare that now to coming over here to 118 and 68 souls for lolMiner, we can now see that on lolMiner on the 3090 we're doing 118 souls at 299 power, and it's bumped up the efficiency close to 0.4. So that's pretty good now, without changing any of the other actual settings. And we've received about a 14.9% increase, so nowhere near the 20% increase that we originally saw, but that's still a big improvement basically. And on the 3070 we're looking at basically 68 souls at 140 power, and getting about 0.48, so close to 0.5 efficiency, which is getting pretty good now. So we've received about a 11% improvement on lolMiner. So it's pretty obvious that switching all of your Flux basically mining rigs over to lolMiner is going to give you a lot more hash rate. So at least in my case, I've got about 11 to 15% improvement for the same power on these particular settings for my core and memory and power limits for my miners, for my cards, sorry. So definitely switch over all of your miners over to lolMiner if you're mining Flux. So I think I would definitely recommend doing that, and that's what I'm going to do moving forward so I can get a lot more hash rate. So looking at the price of Flux today, it's around 0.683 cents. So it is coming down towards the bottom here now. So if you look at the video I posted last week on the channel, you'll see that I was looking at the actual price action, and it was around 80 something cents. So today we've dropped down to about 68 cents. So what I was looking at to do in the previous video last week was waiting for the price action to actually come down to this kind of level here, around 50-cent level, where I'm thinking that price action is going to come down to test this area here and buy some Flux so I can actually get enough to stake for either a node or stake it on the Titan node. So last week we were seeing that price basically had come down and kind of hit the support there, and it was rejecting at this kind of support, this resistance level, and I was basically saying that we're most likely going to come down towards this level here, and this is a big major resistance or support here for price where it broke out of that kind of really low price. So if we look at what happened since then, is that prices continue to actually move down from where we were last week. So I've just done up my chart and looking at it now. So basically what I'm looking to do is basically wait for price to kind of test this area here around the 60 cent mark, and we're probably going to see a bounce up and get a rejection here, but we'll see how far this rejection comes. So if it doesn't come back up all the way up here to break this, then there's a high likely chance that it's going to come down and test these kind of the top of these lows here around the 50 cent mark. So this is where I ideally would want to get in, depending on where it is when it gets to here around the 60 cent mark, depending on what price action does over the next couple of days. This may be a good area to get into it for me, depending on the price in Australian dollars. But ideally I'll be waiting, just to be patient, just wait for it to kind of come down here. So this will be an important area of support this coming week around this 60 US cent mark. And if it breaks this level here, the support, it's definitely going to come down to test this. So the whole crypto market this week is basically on this continuing downward trend. So I would say that for me, I'll be looking this week around this US 60 cent mark, see what happens here, see if there's a kind of a rejection up. If there's not enough kind of like pushing power to push it all the way back up here, we're probably looking at for it to bounce, come up, and then probably come back down. So this will be the ideal place for me to probably get in to fill up on Flux directly. So that'll be my plan for next week. So I hope you enjoyed the video today, guys, on basically updating to lolMiner and getting the increased hash rate, and also an update on price action in terms of Flux. So hopefully it's been informative and entertaining, and it's helped you on your journey on mining Flux. I'm mining Flux because basically long term there is a good utility and use case for the actual token, and the business case basically is quite strong, as opposed to a lot of other tokens which don't actually have a real world kind of business case at the moment. And I see Flux kind of going up in the long term, and that's basically why I'm continuing to mine Flux at this period of time. And if we look at history, whether it's in crypto or basically in the stock market, we'll see that during these kind of bearish, bottoms or bearish trends, this is where most of the money is made. So you'll see that, this is a good position to get in, and this is a good position to basically get out. So most of the money is made when everyone's fearful of actually getting into the positions. So, even in Bitcoin now, this position may come down a little bit lower to kind of test these lows here, the tops of these lows. But, getting in between here and here and waiting for the next push up is where most of the money will be made. So if we come over and look at the S&P 500, basically the stock market over the US, you'll see that basically at the dips here, these kind of areas here, where the market basically dropped really, really hard. So you can see this is during the pandemic when everything kind of crashed. These area here when people are not kind of like really putting money into the actual stocks, these are the areas where basically the most gains are made. So you often hear when people talk about investing about, buy when people were fearful, right? And sell when people were greedy. So, these lows, these market drops, these bear markets is basically where the money is made. So basically looking at Flux and looking at the other crypto coins, why am I continuing to mine basically is because we want to get in at the lows at the moment. So the whole crypto market now is actually at the bottoms, or close to the bottoms, I would say. There's probably another 2 or 3 months where we'll continue to see this kind of sideward action or go down a little bit lower. But we're basically getting in now in preparation for the next bull run. So it really depends on what type of investor you are. If you're long term, then these lows at the moment, they are the best times for us to get into a position to hold long term, right? But if you're a short term trader, you're basically trading these kind of short pumps, up and down, up and down. But if you're a long term trader, if we got in here at these first few crashes, there's a lot of upside potential. And I'll share a video next week on a lot of the things that Kevin O'Leary has been sharing about the whole crypto market. And as a long-term investor, I think a lot of things that he's talking about make sense. We're just waiting for regulation. Once regulation comes in, a lot of the institutions are going to be pumping a lot of their money and their investors' money into crypto. They're just waiting for proper regulation so they can do it legally and basically do it with defined boundaries. And once they pump all that liquidity into cryptos, there's going to be very big price action for the next bull run. So these lows at the moment are the times, for us to get into a position. Obviously, never get into a position that you can't afford to lose. So nothing is financial advice. I'm just sharing what I'm doing personally, getting into positions at the moment with a few different types of cryptos and setting myself up for the next bull run. Basically, short term, we're looking at about 3 to 5 years. That's what I'm looking at the moment, and midterm maybe a little bit longer. So 5 to 10 years is what I'm looking at for most of my positions that I've actually bought into. And with Flux, I'm looking at Flux also basically long term. So I would say 3 to 5 year positions for me currently as well. But these bottoms at the moment, I'm going to try and mine as much Flux as I can. If the prices are right around this kind of tops of this 50 cent level, I'll probably get in, buy some Flux directly and get in that position. So hopefully the video has been informative today for everybody. Please definitely like and subscribe and make a comment. It'll help the channel to grow and it'll let me know what type of content everybody wants to see. I think that's all for today, guys. Thanks. Bye.